The studio lights of the View burned brighter than usual that morning, casting sharp shadows across the glossy round table. Where opinions were currency and confrontation was almost tradition, the audience buzzed with anticipation as country music superstar Blake Shelton prepared to make his entrance. He was supposed to be there for a simple reason: to promote his latest project, share a few laughs, maybe tell a lighthearted story or two about life on his Oklahoma ranch. But in a studio known for its unfiltered debates, simple rarely stayed that way for long. Backstage, Blake adjusted his jacket, offering his trademark half-smile to a production assistant who guided him toward the stage. He had done countless interviews before, award shows, press tours, late-night comedy segments, but this was different. This was The View, where politics and pop culture often collided with explosive results. As the announcer introduced him, applause filled the room. Blake walked out confidently, waving to the audience. The hosts greeted him with polite smiles. Among them sat Joy Behar, known for her sharp tongue and unapologetic commentary. The first few minutes were smooth. They joked about Blake's marriage, his life on the farm, even his time as a coach on The Voice. The crowd laughed easily. Blake leaned back in his chair, relaxed, clearly in his element. Then the shift happened. Joy leaned forward slightly, her expression tightening. "Blake," she began, her tone light, but her words edged with something sharper. "You've built your brand around country values. But don't you think some of those values are a little outdated?" The audience reacted instantly, a ripple of gasps, nervous laughter. Blake's smile faded just enough to notice. "Outdated how?" he asked calmly. Joy continued, pressing into topics far beyond music. Cultural divides, political leanings, statements Blake had made years ago, some taken out of context, others long forgotten by the public. The energy in the room shifted from friendly banter to something heavier. Blake maintained composure at first. He answered carefully, choosing words like stepping stones across thin ice. "I believe in respecting people," he said. "That's always been my thing." But Joy wasn't finished. "So you don't see how some of your fan base promotes exclusion?" she asked. The air tightened. The cameras zoomed in. Producers exchanged quick glances behind the scenes. Blake leaned forward now, no longer reclining casually. His voice dropped an octave. "I don't control every person who buys a ticket to my show." The audience clapped, some in support, others in tension. What was meant to be a promotional stop was turning into a televised standoff. And the real confrontation hadn't even begun yet. The room felt smaller. Blake's jaw tightened as Joy continued to challenge him, her words cutting deeper with every follow-up question. The other hosts shifted uneasily, sensing the rising temperature at the table. "Let's be honest," Joy said, her voice firm. "Country music often aligns itself with conservative politics. Do you deny that you benefit from that?" Blake exhaled sharply. The calm demeanor he had carried onto the stage began to crack. "I benefit from making music people connect with," he replied. "That's it." "But you've made comments in the past," Joy insisted. Some would say they were dismissive. There it was, or the trigger. Blake straightened fully in his chair, no longer leaning in but sitting upright, eyes locked on Joy. "You're pulling things from years ago without context," he said, voice steady but clearly strained. "You know how media works," the audience murmured. Joy didn't back down. "Context doesn't erase impact." For a moment, silence, thick, uncomfortable. Blake's hands gripped the edge of the table. "You invited me here to talk about music," he said, each word measured. "Not to put me on trial." Gasps echoed. One of the co-hosts attempted to lighten the mood, but the tension was already too far gone. Joy crossed her arms slightly. "We discuss important issues here." "And I respect that," Blake responded, voice rising just enough to signal the shift from polite guest to frustrated participant. "But I won't sit here and let you paint me as something I'm not." The audience erupted, some cheering, some booing. The producers signaled to cut to commercial, but Blake continued. "You don't know me," he said directly to Joy. "You don't know my heart. And you don't get to define it based on headlines." Joy opened her mouth to respond, but Blake stood up. The sudden movement shocked the room. He didn't storm off immediately. Instead, he paused, scanning the audience. The camera zoomed tighter, capturing every micro-expression: frustration, disbelief, controlled anger. "I came here in good faith," he said. "But this isn't a conversation. It's an ambush." And with that, he stepped away from the table. The studio fell into stunned silence as he walked toward backstage. The applause was scattered and confused. The commercial break graphic flashed across screens nationwide, but the real drama was happening off camera. Backstage chaos erupted the moment Blake disappeared behind the curtain. Producers rushed to calm the situation. Publicists exchanged urgent whispers. The show's control room scrambled to decide how to handle the unexpected meltdown. Blake paced near his dressing room, adrenaline still pumping. His team urged him to cool down. "You made your point," one of them said quietly. On stage, during the commercial break, the hosts regrouped. Joy sat silently for a moment, adjusting her notes. When the show returned live, she addressed the audience. "We have passionate conversations here," she began, carefully measured. "Sometimes they get heated," but viewers could sense the fracture. Meanwhile, social media exploded. Clips of the confrontation spread within minutes. Hashtags trended. Some praised Blake for standing his ground. Others criticized him for walking out. The network released a brief statement emphasizing the importance of dialogue and differing viewpoints. But the story didn't end there. Later that evening, Blake posted a message online, calm, composed, but firm. He reiterated his belief in respectful conversation and clarified that he never intended to avoid tough topics. "I just expect fairness," he wrote. Joy responded in her own way during the next broadcast, stating she stood by her questions and welcomed open debate. The incident became a cultural flashpoint, not just about one heated interview, but about the growing divide between entertainment and politics, between celebrity and commentary. Days later, analysts debated who won. Ratings for the episode spiked. Commentary channels dissected every second of footage. But beyond the headlines, something deeper lingered, a reminder that in today's media landscape, even a routine interview can turn into a battleground. And as the dust settled, one question remained. Was it a clash of personalities, or a reflection of a larger cultural storm brewing beneath the surface? The cameras had stopped rolling. But the conversation was far from over.